Okay, we are live.
Hello, everybody. I am Chloe.
And I am Sandy, and this is WordStitch. Look how together we were right there. That was
And
real,
I muted it. I muted it on time this time.
I didn't pull mine up because apparently, like, having two running makes your computer work a little harder, and I didn't want to cause a problem. So.
Oh, I also just got an error, so I don't know if we're actually live or not. Oh no, there we are. No, it was just an error. I don't know. I have been having really weird internet problems today. Also, I feel like we lost all of our viewers in that because I feel like, oh no, there we go. I don't know. The numbers are wrong. Hi, everybody. I don't know. Yeah, it took me almost 20 minutes to download a file today. Like a program. I haven't seen anything like that in probably like 5 years.
Because the internet is so wonky right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was GIMP. It was just an update on GIMP. So it was, yeah, that was really weird. Normally that's like a 15-second download because that's the world of 2019. Welcome to 2020. So
Totally.
yeah.
Welcome to 2020, the era of slow internet and like going back. I baked sourdough bread again today. It turned out so good. Like, it's so pretty.
Did you make your own starter, or are you?
I made my own starter. Yeah. I know. I got like serious about it. I made my own starter. I like did the recipe the first time last week. It was like a little gummy. I didn't like it. I adjusted it like a real baker might. I like decided I wasn't doing like the folding well enough to get pretty holes. I changed that. I wanted like flour on top, so I sprinkled it was insane. I was Sandy the Frontier Woman.
I just saw a meme on Facebook probably an hour ago that made me think of you. It was just a tweet and it was like, are you quarantined right now? Try baking bread. It takes like 14 hours. It's really boring and you're probably going to be disappointed in the results.
But we weren't disappointed. It was like so when you do sourdough bread, it takes 3 days, and it takes like 5 days to create the starter itself. So like, and it's the only good bread to do during this era after you run out of yeast, because the fact that everybody wants to make bread makes it so there is no yeast available anywhere. And so you have to make your own starter. That takes 5 days. Then it takes 3 full days before you actually get to like baking the bread.
Yeah.
It is insane. But yeah, no, it turned out.
If any of you grocery shop at a place that closes on holidays and bakes their own bread, this is why you're an asshat if you get mad at them for not having bread the day after a holiday. All of our bread is destroyed if things don't go right on that day that we are closed. Literally, a manager has to go in and like tend to the bread on Christmas.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
It gets messed up constantly because it's like whatever manager from whatever department volunteers for the job. So oftentimes it's like the meat department manager, and he literally has no idea what bread is because he is the meat department manager. So we try, but we normally lose all of our bread the day after holidays.
So we should start our writing thing first. I put in the AuthorTubers site that we were talking about reviews, and it would be like a therapy session, but obviously we're gonna need like a whole break to start getting into that. So
yes, yeah, I've got like my own issues happening right now. So
you do.
Let me actually share this screen, and we will deal with all of this stuff in 10 minutes. There we go. Ooh, all right. Yeah, we will see you guys in 10 minutes. Ooh,
Okay.
there we go.
We are back. All my word prompts this time are about like positivity in some way. I felt like we needed it, you know, like apocalypse,
Yeah.
review discussion. We need extra positivity. How'd that go for you?
I couldn't do what I was going to work on because I accidentally set up that timer wrong. And so I needed to get underneath the timer and I couldn't because I was actually sharing the window, not the app. So I just fixed that for the next one. And instead of working on the cover, as had been my plan, I just did a little bit more outlining.
I spent like hours yesterday outlining my next Angel book, which actually is a really good lead into my first review complaint. So I got back like this ARC feedback from Hidden Gems about Angel Off Limits, and so my first Angel book was called a prequel, dumbly by me, and then I sent out like the next one as book one, dumbly again. So a lot of readers who got it the first time had never actually read the prequel, which they really probably needed to do to understand what was going on or like the characters. So my Hidden Gems feedback is like really crazy. Like there's like 2 or 3 like I loved it, and then there's like it was dreadfully dull. It dragged and dragged. And I think this is a good example of how different readers appreciate different things. So it's likely that you're always going to get a review that sucks, and you're always going to get some that are great.
It's also a good lesson about if you are going to review sites with a book that is not the first book in the series, always either include the first book of the series or offer it to them. And the added perk of that is not only like, obviously it's good to have your readers know what the story is, but another added perk to it is you might end up getting some more reviews on that first book, which the more reviews. So
because and I think like I feel like between the two of us, we've had like a really diverse set of review responses. Like, I mean, for me, even amongst my like 3 different names that I write in, like those books are received so differently by like readers. And I kind of thought like when I set up my romance pen names that would, I don't know, give me something to experiment with, right? So that I could like learn from my mistakes and not repeat them in the YA that's under like my actual name. But the only thing that they help me with is feeling like slightly more resistant to review trolls, and I find that like it's totally varied like across the board. So like romance readers seem to be slightly nicer, but I mean, you never know when you're gonna get somebody who like uses Goodreads to sort their damn books instead of, you know, so there's some ugliness that goes on there. So Chloe, how do you feel about reviews generally?
So
that was a really big question, wasn't it?
What?
That was a big question, right?
No. It is, but so because I am strictly a steamy romance writer, my world of reviews are very different, and they're mostly good, except that I have gotten stuck in that situation of people who are sorting what they want to read by their rating. So like my book that I had for the Christmas holiday started out with a 2-star rating because literally 2 hours after the book went live on on Amazon, I just got a 2-star rating. And of course, you know, the thing with Amazon is if you do have ARC readers, they cannot, you know, they can't post anything until the book is already live. So for the first, you know, half a day at least, that poor book was sitting at a 2-star rating. And then it was really hard to climb back out of it. And if you look at my ratings for it, it is like there is a 2 and a 3, and all the rest of them are 5s, I think. But it was bad, and it didn't hurt in the fact that like I thought somebody thought my book sucked. It hurt in the fact that like this fucking asshole right here. And that was the one that when we went into their history, they literally had like 5,000 ratings and 4,500 of them were 2 stars. And then the other 500 were 4 stars, and there wasn't a single, I don't know. Goodreads is a weird place. Michael just said he rarely goes on Goodreads because there are people who review books without reading. And yeah, that's also a thing. And obviously it's not, you know, I know exactly what you're talking about. You do have ARC readers who do get the book early, but I've, especially like, again, because I'm in the romance world, you get plenty of people who rate them and their review is like, I hate this cover, or I love this series, or, oh, you're using this character, I don't like that character. And that is exactly the problem that Michael is talking about, that people are rating on Goodreads without reading the books. So Goodreads is kind of a hot mess, and ratings in general are kind of a hot mess.
I think that's the thing to remember too, is ratings really are a hot mess. But I mean, especially because Goodreads and Amazon sort of like feed into each other, but only sometimes. So, you know, like I think you can link your Kindle and your Goodreads all together, but you know, Goodreads is sort of pretty specific about what those stars mean. So like in a Goodreads world, I think a 3-star is I liked it. Like, even if it's a 3-star, unless it was okay, and a 1-star is did not like it, right? So like you 4s really liked it. 5, it was amazing. So what I find really interesting about this, right, is like, are your readers taking that seriously? Like, or do they understand? Or do they understand the extent to which those ratings are actually affecting you? And I think that's like, there was a discussion on AuthorTubers about this, right, where people were like going back and forth about like how their peers reviewed them. And I think probably for me, like I don't have that many peers who review my books. It's strangers giving me like bad reviews or good reviews or whatever. But like, I mean, your sales are affected, right? So like if your book gets a 2-star rating without a review from some ass who just is sorting, then it says nothing about your book for you and says everything to people looking at it, right? Like, and you just have to hope that people like don't pay attention to it. So I agree with Michael on this. This is, I do think that you should be able to like do this, except that then on the other hand, okay, so as somebody who now has a very diverse range of reviews, I don't know, like the thing that's good about reviews is their feedback, right? So like you do actually get feedback even from the reviews that suck. I'll leave that 1-star at the next break because it's that epic.
And I will just say this really quick before we go to the next sprint, but my thought on it is they already have all of those librarians doing all kinds of ridiculous tasks there. I don't understand why Goodreads has to be the way it is, but I don't see why there's no reason you can't just flag them. You know, flag the sketchy reviews, or flag somebody who has put 4,500 2-star ratings on books. Clearly they're not reading them. Just to alert all of those actual people who really are running the show at Goodreads that there might be somebody here who is not leaving honest reviews, or, you know, well, yeah, I guess however you look at it, it's people leaving dishonest reviews.
Yeah, or reviews that aren't representative, right? Because they have nothing to do with whether or not they've read your book.
Yeah, every once in a while you'll actually see a review that's for the wrong book.
I kind of wish the Goodreads had a did not finish too. Like that might be more helpful than just having
yeah, instead of having us have to make a shelf. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or like so if somebody was sorting, they could say just did not finish, right? Like fine, okay, so you didn't finish. That says something, but doesn't necessarily hurt your ratings. All right, let's rant more after.
Yeah.
We have a lot of things to get to.
This is a day of review ranting. Okay.
It is. It is.
I'm also writing. We're going to write for the next 25 minutes. The prompt is your character cheers up a friend.
About a terrible review.
Well, I was just thinking because I write romance, I've got very special ways to cheer up friends. Okay. We'll see you guys in 25 minutes.
Okay. How'd you do?
I have most of a book cover. I have a book cover that I am debating about what to do with.
I actually got the start of a scene written, which is good because I've been totally unfocused all day long. So reviews. So I think one thing that we should not do is bash Goodreads the entire time that we talk about this.
It's true.
We can't change it, like we can't.
Yeah.
We have no power to be like, all right, we should really be able to flag these people. And despite what Goodreads does, we still
we need them
with their reviews, right? So this was all precipitated by my first 1-star review, which I got on my YA book. And I have 12 right now, and it doesn't suck. Like not 12 1-star reviews. Yeah.
12 reviews total.
12 reviews total, yeah. And my like little, sort of bell curve doesn't look bad. I've got like a couple of 5s, and I've got mostly 4s, and I have like 3 3s. Oh, is one of those 3s new? Maybe not. I don't know. Which is all good with YA. Like I mean, in that genre, readers are harsh. They're not like nice about anything. But then I had this 1-star review from somebody who like wrote a really impressive synopsis of the whole thing. Like, this is what happens in the book, and like this is what goes on, but called it. Okay, so here are some of the phrases she used. She said my characters were spoiled brats. She said that it's not really a plot. It's like a string of scenes pretending to be a plot. It was, the direct quote, "Sisters of the Perilous Heart is flawed in nearly every aspect."
That's right. Oh God, I forgot about that.
That's right. The characters I like are Nate and Miguel. They're actually my favorites as well. And and they're never even really acknowledged, basically. And then she wrote, "This book isn't even worth a 1-star." It's like horrible. Like not only am I going to tell you it's terrible, it is so bad that if I could do something lower than a 1-star, I would. And then she told me, like, she called me out on colonialism. Like, it's set on an alien planet. There's a native species. Humans have colonized stuff. I actually plan to address some of this. I think it's a really interesting issue. But apparently the fact that I like didn't yet, and that I portrayed the I don't know, the mortal, the human, like kind of like watching the natives like zoo animals, which isn't exactly what happened, but she thought it was. Like, I guess that brings up colonization, which was obviously terrible in every form. So the book is unethical. Which is really crazy because the whole society is meant to be like a utopian society. And so here's what I'm interested in. How do you get over a review like that? So like, I've had 2 weeks to adjust to it at this point, but you get like a really terrible review. Somebody hates your book so bad, they feel the need to write that about it. So how do you deal with it? Chloe, that's to you. What would you do?
Okay. All right. So we've talked about this review quite a bit.
It was hurtful.
Yeah, it's terrible and hilarious at the same time.
It was. Yeah.
So the reason I say that is because you will have already heard a lot of what I am going to say. But first of all, some people are just always in a shitty mood. Some people, their entire lives are devoted to making other people feel bad, or they're really bad at like not being that way when they're having a bad day. Like, some people 95% of the time are super fine, and then that 5% of the time they're fucking assholes. And there's no rhyme or reason, and you just kind of fell into that spot. And I say this because, as I've mentioned many times, I am stuck in that retail essential personnel thing right now. And people are just monsters right now. Just out of control monsters. And I'm perpetually stunned that people act the way that they do and that somehow they get away with it. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen like the videos of like fist fights over toilet paper at Walmart, and like somehow these people live their lives being like this, you know, either all the time or that 5% of the time, but either way, like somehow they just like there's never any consequences to it, or they're so obtuse to it that they don't see the consequences. So that is my first thing on this. Is like, we don't know this person. It could have been that goddamn day for this person. The colonialism thing, if we're going to break it down into little bits and pieces, we all know one of the like biggest problems right now in the YA genre is the oh god, what's the right term for it? The sensitivity levels. And that is not in any way me saying that it is a problem addressing it, but we also have this backside issue that because of this sensitivity, readers, this has kind of become a thing that like you get brownie points for like pointing out when somebody is doing something like this, even if it's a fairly normal plot. I mean, if you're colonizing another planet, I mean, coming from a science perspective, and that doesn't always like lead me the right way because I forget sensitivity. But coming from a science perspective, of course, we're going to colonize a planet that already has life on it. So I feel like that's something to watch out for, is whether people are just going for that buzz of saying, oh, this isn't culturally sensitive.
Yeah, that's so
that. And then the biggest one with this, and it's something that me and Sandy's husband, we have both pushed on it, is in this particular case, this person read this book front to back, knew exactly the plot line, wrote the entire plot line out in this, got like all the way to the end and read it so well. Like, I hated this thing so much. Most people would DNF that. Did not finish.
Right?
Like, as this is going, this is terrible. No. I absolutely DNF a book at 80% because I get to that point where I'm like, you know, this plot's not working for me for whatever reason. But this person was devoted to finishing. And again, as I have said to Sandy already, I guarantee you that if this person sees the second book available, they are going to get that second book and they're going to give it another 1-star rating. It's a weird world that we live in. And there's also that issue with like some people don't understand that, you know, if you pick up a book and it's just not your cup of tea, maybe it's not the time to put a 1-star rating on it. If I pick up, like, so this just happened with me. I picked up a book that I thought was a completely different genre than what it was. I did ultimately like the book. It was real weird. I don't know what happened, but that's okay. But if I had gotten through, you know, half of that book, I said, oh, well, I hate this. I figured I was going to hate this genre, and I do. I would never go on and rate it because it just wasn't my genre to begin with. So that's another thing. Like, you know, and I feel like, especially if it's an outlier, which in this case for Sandy it is, she's got plenty of good reviews on this. And she just happens to have this one terrible review on it. I think an outlier, first of all, is exactly what it is. It's an outlier. It's nothing to worry about. Again, coming from a science standpoint, like we just flick outliers right out. Yes, even the Bible gets bad reviews. Sometimes I give it bad reviews. It's very confusing. I would never actually give it a review because I'm not Christian, and again, it's just not my genre. Um, but
Yeah.
so it's, you just gotta, especially if it's an outlier, just flick it right off. And actually also be a little bit thankful for those outliers, because right now I've got 2 books that are sitting on 5 to 10 ratings that are both like perfect 5-star ratings, and that just looks like I paid for all of my reviews. So that is also an issue. So don't hate those 1-star reviews. Just start to get a little bit concerned when you've got a whole bunch of them. But like, as long as as long as you're, the right curve happening, and I don't know if I'm making that curve in the right way. I guess it's that way. My brain, it's okay. As long as you got that right curve, you're okay. I did take that on a bit of a ramble, though.
Sandy's response after the next word spread.
Yes. We should have saved all of that for a 15-minute break instead of me trying to cram it into our.
Okay, I've got plenty of therapy needed on this. All right, let's
Okay, so we are going to do our 30-minute. It can be a 1K 30-minute if you want. I don't think either of us are writing, so neither of us are going to.
I am.
Oh, Sandy can get 1,000 words in. She's good at it. Okay, so the prompt is your character sings a country music song. I'm going to say it should be, it should be John Deere Green in honor of Joe Diffie. Okay, we'll see you guys in 30 minutes.
Okay. So I almost got to my 1,000. I think that was like 820. It was okay. Could have been worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about all the clicking. I have my big keyboard out.
It's all right.
I'm erasing myself for April. Yeah, I got a little bit more plotting done, and I've got an extra plot point made. And now I have to go back and fact check myself to make sure that I'm not creating a consistency problem.
Okay, so my response to the your review. So I no, it's not a rebuttal. I agree with you on just about everything. I think it's very sound advice. I mean, like, you can't. Well, with the exception that it may not be an outlier, and I think that one thing you have to expect as a writer is that, assuming that it's not just your friends reading your book, there will be a certain percentage of people who don't like it, right? Because like 11% of people who read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone give it a 1. That's a lot of people. It's like 100,000 people who bashed, one of the best-selling books of like our era. So I kind of think like part of this is, I think partially like, so that particular review, that was one of the NetGalley reviews that I got. I put the book on NetGalley. It got some readers, like it was good enough that people, picked it up. It was a marketing success. Somebody like believed that book might count. So she read it the whole way through.
And I hated every single one of those 120,000 words.
It's sad to me because like in a lot of ways I agree with a lot of the stuff that she wrote. Like, I purposely made the protagonist kind of bratty.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be your favorite character. I'm setting him up to be the hero for the entire freaking series. If you hate him at the end of the book, we're just done.
Like I said before, I have hated the protagonist in like every YA book I've ever read. And it could be the fact that I am too old and it's not my genre and I just don't understand what teenage girls like, but I feel like that's kind of a deliberate thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know, like if you, YA is very interesting like that too, because like you said, there is this sort of like strange sensitivity thing. So you'll get these readers who will say like you're reading a book about, okay, so let's say the Aristotle and Dante book, the one about like the two gay boys, which it's amazingly done, really, really good. I think it's called Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe or something like that. I mean, you'll, in that particular book, the parents are really super supportive, and it's a beautiful book, but it's almost like unrealistic. Like, the parents are so supportive of their relationship that you look at it and you're like, I don't know. This was set in like the 80s. Like, I'm not sure that somebody would have been this supportive. But YA readers love it because when you see, say, like an LGBT relationship and the parents are not supportive, then somebody will go, well, the parents just should have been more supportive, right? Like you wrote this book wrong, author, because in a good world, parents are always great listeners and they're super supportive of your identity no matter what. Oh, and Leora Sophie, I think the stream is stuck for just you. Hopefully, could be stuck for us too. But I think we just got to comment on this. Hopefully just you. And congratulations on the many words. Maybe it'll be a refresh. Hopefully we can't do about it for right now.
What you were just saying, I think, is also an issue of that like weird sensitivity reader thing. That like, now I had a really weird experience coming out to my parents, so I certainly don't consider like myself to be a good judge on that. But that is absolutely, even today, it is something that goes wrong, or is a negative experience. Fairly commonly. It's certainly not as as awful as it used to be, but this is something that makes it difficult for authors to write realistic scenarios.
Yes.
And again, is feeding into that. I'm going to get brownie points for calling out insensitive writing.
Yeah, right. Because what happens then is you get called on writing a realistic world when like actually so like what are you supposed to do? Like are we never supposed to let a teenager see a world that's real? Like do we only show them worlds that are perfect? And that's, I mean, it's not realistic, right? But you're going to get a certain number of people who do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So I think the other thing about stuff like this is, like to me, I don't like to think about people who are just mean, but like I do think it's really important that like when you have the experience, you sort of acknowledge it, right? Because the worst part is that sense of like I am the only one that has this happen to me. No.
Everybody.
Yeah. If it hasn't happened to you yet, it's gonna happen. I feel like I was a little naive about this, like a couple years back.
I really haven't had like a really negative review yet.
You've been great.
But there are two sides to that coin, because like I said, I've got that one 2-star rating that it turned out that person average was like 2.3 stars because she just throws 2-star ratings on everything. Yeah. But also most of my 5-star ratings are, I'm assuming it's ARC readers who just don't leave reviews if they're not going to be 5 stars. But most of my reviews are from people who leave an average of 4.9 stars. So I feel good about that review until I look at that statistic, and then I'm like, oh, I guess I'm just average then.
No, I think that's another really good point. So
here's just not a litmus for literally anything at all.
Yeah, but I mean, I think, well, I don't know if this is what you were saying at all, but like it made me think of something else I wanted to bring up, which is that like, so, you know, psychologically speaking, bad things hurt us worse than like good things help us, right? So like the human memory will remember the human memory. You will remember the bad stuff like for longer and in greater detail than you'll remember the good stuff. So maybe you're better than I am. Oh my God, that dog. My must be handling this right now. There must be the UPS man. So what I've realized with this is I don't actually read my 5-star reviews. Like, I know I don't. I think I have to on that one.
Yeah.
I have several on my romance ones, which is horrible, right? Like my romance is way better rated, even though it takes me like a month to write those. It takes me like years to write the YA, but whatever.
Romance readers don't care about the cultural sensitivity. They just care about the boning.
Apparently, yeah. No, it's much easier to satisfy the romance world. But
it is. It really is.
Yeah, like my plot can be totally loosely structured. I have like no plan. I think people are hopefully getting together. It can totally drag, and like somebody who calls it out will still give it a 2-star.
Yeah.
Okay. but no. So I don't know about you, but I and it sounds like you do read your 5 stars. I have a harder time reading those than I do reading the 1 stars. Like almost like I have to read the 1 star because it's like ripping off a Band-Aid. But the 5 stars, like what, do I not take them seriously? Do I think that they don't count? Like am I like what's wrong with me that I don't focus on those instead of on the 1 star? And I think it's actually not wrong with me. I think it might be kind of superhuman and something we should fight against.
I will say for me, I read every single one of those reviews because especially now, with me kind of doing this rapid release thing, and the way that I'm doing it is that way that everybody is like, you're an asshole for doing this, but that's okay. I don't know. Like you have all these people who are like, how dare you put something out that has not been read by another human being, and that you literally wrote a month ago, and you're releasing it, and you are what's wrong with the writing world. I will say, that is a serious problem in the writing community, but also I feel like I did a good fucking job with The Christmas Demon for Clara for having that book out in 5 weeks. So
you did. Yeah.
But the flip side of that is I don't get any feedback
Yeah.
any other way.
Yeah.
And there are certainly, especially with things being series, I need to know what people are liking as much as I need to know what they're not liking. And they don't
Yeah.
tell me a whole lot of what they're not liking. But if I can get reinforced on certain things and know that like this is working for me, then that's worthwhile for me to know. So I do read every review, and also like there are those things that you can't gauge for yourself. Like as I know I mentioned to you, the last book that I put out, I was really worried that it was not going to be funny enough because it's the second book in a series, and the first book in the series I thought was a lot funnier. But everybody has said that they thought it was real funny. So that was definitely useful feedback for me to know that I was just kind of that was good enough. That like the like ridiculous elements that I threw in there to combat I just had a lot of really serious notes in that book. So it's good to know that I was hitting the notes right on balancing it. So yeah, I read all of the reviews because it's the feedback that I'm not getting from beta readers or editors.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. And I mean, I do the same with my romance books, right? So like, what are you going to do? Like when you're trying to get your stuff out super fast, like, is anybody actually going to read the Angel book ahead of time? Maybe and with you and I, like, it might be like one of us gets to read like part of the book ahead of time.
I read half the Angel book
to ARC readers.
And I suck and I still haven't finished it. One day I will.
It's okay. Apparently it drags. No, but like you're totally right. You need that feedback, and I mean, so let's do as Chloe does and not as Sandy, like often does here. I mean, I certainly think that it's important to read for feedback, and like what people like is as important as what they don't like, because who are you trying to please? The people who don't like your stuff, or the people who do like your stuff?
No, I want to please that person who's giving me a 5-star review every single time. And is actually like that one single person that pre-orders every single one of my books.
Yes. Yes.
I want to keep Felicia happy. Felicia, I don't know who you are, but thank you for being amazing.
All right. Let's do one more thing here.
Yes, we are going to do our last sprint. It is going to be a 10-minute sprint. Do we have a prompt for this?
Yes.
Your character sees someone do something nice for their neighbor. I don't know about you, but what?
Convoluted, but I feel a positivity here. Positivity.
Oh, no. I think it's great. I think it's like leave a zucchini on your neighbor's porch day, except that you're watching somebody else leave a zucchini on somebody else's porch. Yes. Just accept that August 8th, just so you know, is leave a zucchini on your neighbor's porch day, and America's a weird place. Okay, we'll see you guys in 10 minutes.
Okay, and we are back.
Yes.
Yes. I got a few more words written.
I got through a little bit more outlining.
You gotta do it. You've moved on to another book too, right? So you're doing like you're trying to write an entire book in April, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna write Hazel because I've been struggling with everything else. So
yeah,
and Hazel has to get written. It's already got a deadline, so
yeah. So you gotta do it. Yeah.
Early enough to maybe actually get feedback this time.
Or you could put all 3 out in the ARC services. That's my vote.
I could also do that, except I'm worried because this one's going to end in a real weird place.
And you know what? Readers do not love cliffhangers. This is something I've learned from reviews.
Yeah. Like I'm hoping that the fact that the first 2 books in the series will mean that like with the 3rd book, people will be less angry about the cliffhanger because they'll know that I am capable of wrapping up plots, and it will absolutely be wrapped up in the next book. But there's no way for me to wrap up the plot in the 3rd book.
Gotta do what it's funny, right? They hate cliffhangers, but they don't understand that you have to give them cliffhangers because like, how else are you gonna get them the next book?
I think it's where the cliffhanger is.
Yeah.
Like it's different between not finishing a plot and introducing a new plot. So like in the last 2 books, I introduced, actually, I guess, I did not introduce a new plot in the 1st book. I did in the 2nd book, but you haven't read that far. So
yeah, don't tell me yet. I've still got like.
That's why I stopped talking right there because I realized that from your perspective, I have not introduced new plots.
No, you haven't. You haven't. And I'm enjoying that book. So yeah. So you know.
Okay.
If you are still with us, thanks for joining us. We will be back next week on Monday from 4 to 6.
Yeah.
And we won't talk about reviews probably.
Yeah, who knows what we'll talk about then?
Who knows?
Who knows? I certainly don't.
Hopefully, if you joined us, you got some work done. Though I got work done. Chloe got work done, so we're at least happy with that.
This is one of the more productive sprints that I've done lately.
Excellent.
So you know what we'll be talking about next week? Sorry, we'll be talking about camp next week.
Oh, camp starts. Yes.
Camp is starting.
Yeah. Yes, we should talk about camp. I'm not camping this year, but we should still talk about it. Yeah, we can do it.
All right.
Busy like that, so it's okay. Yeah. All right. So thanks everybody, and see you next week.
Bye guys.
Bye.